All right, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday morning. Um, we have the hand, Mr. Still Grumpy, and Walmart's favorite employee, Steve. There we go.
I am not an employee.
Walmart's favorite 1099 employee.
He was at the Christmas party.
Yeah. Did you go to the
I
self?
did.
To the
I didn't
checkout?
actually go. I
Uh, so who we got this morning? When lag is first, it's gonna be a rough day. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, Lag's here. I miss that guy.
Morning, Shaw. Good morning, Phil, Jeremy. Flip it good. One day I'll learn your name, Ron. uh, Taco Z, Dustin, Miss Vintage Memories. Uh, so it occurred to me. Uh, so it occurred to me, and I was listening to the book, and so if you guys missed Private First, there was a really good discussion about for the first I don't know hour last night. It was all about the book, and then after that, it went more into a lot more of just general business and business planning. Because the one thing that occurred to me is most resellers I know and come in contact with are so concerned about what they're buying, they're not very good. They're not running a very good business, and so I don't think that anybody out there is talking a lot about this. And so that's my goal for 2024 is to develop my business knowledge and my knowledge of running business. Hey, good morning, Trina. Thank you so much for last night. That was um, really you're really smart with private first, and I appreciate the suggestion of the book and coming and talking to everybody. You didn't have to do that. I appreciate that. Um, it's absolutely critical for your long term success that you learn to treat this as a business. You got to be as good running the business side, unless you get as big as John, and then you can hire somebody to do it, and that's no problem. But as long as you're still the person doing it, you've truly got to. It's got to be a strength of yours because if you don't take care of that side, it doesn't matter what rules change. It doesn't matter all that stuff. You're not gonna be around to take advantage of it because you're not. If the business fails, what good does it do if the platform continues on? And so I'm challenging myself to listen to 3 books a month. Um, I've got 2 for this month. The next book for the group is about negotiating. It is Never Split the Difference. Chris Voss. It'll be in 3 or 4 weeks. But I am reading Built to Sell and then one thing for the rest of this month. Those are my goals. So I challenge you to really, we always, when we talk about making goals and making plans, it's always, I want to sell this. It's always steps to sell. What platform I'm gonna be on. I rarely hear anyone talking about, developing their business, whatever that word is, acuity. Somebody help me with that word.
that's
Your
very
business acumen. That's it, your
that's
business acumen.
close too.
The knowledge that you have to run your business better. Everybody always wants more sales, more sales, more sales. But I challenge you that your sales might be where you need to be. You're just not running a good enough business to take care of the money you have coming in. So that's where I'm at today, and I'm going to talk a lot more about and this kind of thing, kind of talking on the show because I'm sure as I continue to read books, we should read Preacher next. Uh, is this a real suggestion? Who wrote the
I
book
would
Preacher?
I would guess it's not a real suggestion.
If Lag
Um,
suggested it, it can't be a real suggestion.
every now and then he has a good idea. He says
Every
yesterday,
once in a while.
good
That's
book.
good or what?
I'll add it to my list. Who's the author?
All right, now
Um, because So that was so. So Trina says she's taking John's advice and reading those two books next. Well, learn from folks. You don't have to invent the wheel. So many successful people have taken the time out. I mean, I realize they're making money on books and that kind of thing, but there is a I don't care what they make on the book. They have taken the time to write their what they've learned, lessons in life, lessons in business, and how they've been successful, and the strategies they've used. They put it in writings. There's tons of business books by so many smart people, and trying to just go along the way, trying to just kind of figure it out, running. Garth and it's all right. Thank you, Lag.
I hope his middle initial doesn't start with P. What did you say what did you say the book was called again?
Which
So I
one?
can type it. The one that we're doing for next month.
Never Split the Difference. Chris
Never
Voss.
split that. Okay. I'm going to try to reserve it.
Hey, good morning, Laura and Larry. But I think it's vitally important, and I think it's just going to get even more important because it is the business climate is not going to get any easier, folks. For those of you who don't understand, the powers that be want you to line up at the trough and take the handouts, and so you as a business owner and someone who has got it in their mind to run a business, to make your own way, to run a small business, you're going to fight uphill. Even though small business is what runs the United States, we are the economy of this country, but they don't have any control over us, and so their way to control us is to make the business environment difficult.
I think the first step that everybody needs to make is a decision. Not for, and I struggle with this a lot, not for what you're capable of accomplishing or doing, but a decision on what you want your life to look like. And if eBay is going to be a hobby and a side hustle forever, then all this advice about businesses and all that, it plays a small part, but run it in that manner as a hobby and just enjoy it. Don't try and make it a full-time living. If you're going to try and make it a full-time living, then you need to make a decision that it's going to be a business and not a hobby. And you're going to have to make decisions based on not what you enjoy doing, but what needs to be done in your business.
And they can be those two can coexist at the same time. I'm convinced that I'm convinced that if you do one side well, the other side takes care. I'm truly convinced, and that's what Profit First he talked about is to get more satisfaction out of your business, to get more uh, to make it more enjoyable. If you take the financial stress out by being a good business person and being a good steward of the money that you have and seeing it through and letting the business take care of you, you can do the things to grow the business. He's a firm believer that growth, and I see his point that growth for growth sake just chases more debt. If you take care of the business and do the right things, growth will come naturally, and because of the systems you'll have in place and the control over the business, it'll naturally expand. Whereas so many people just, you know, I mean, you've seen the resellers. How many of them taking on so much debt, irresponsible debt, and just because, you know, there's a guy I personally met. He's a nice guy. 2 or 3 years ago, he came out and told everybody. He goes, "I was so obsessed with selling $1 million that I lost money selling $1 million on Amazon."
I remember that.
And he's still around, and he is doing much better, and he figured out his ways, and so that's not the issue. But the issue is to make decisions correctly and in good financial. And I don't think there's anybody out there talking. I mean, all thing you hear right now is people want to talk about, and it's very short sighted that eBay wants more money. They want promoted listings. They want this. eBay's a platform that's trying to survive, and they've unfortunately turned inward instead of focusing outward, and there's not a lot you can do. You can either play the game or move the game elsewhere. But all the arguments and all the infighting of people over those kind of decisions, you got to take yourself above that kind of stuff. If you're going to run a business and do, you know, and do things that are right for yourself, it's, that little petty squabbling is got to be beneath you. It's what is good for your business, what is good for your mental outlook. All these, you can find people who are positive, and I think Josh and John are going to move away from that talk as well. It doesn't, you can get stuck in and just mired in that mud and never get out of it. So, Kawanda, hey Johnny, thanks so much for you guys rating Cajun Reseller Roots. Welcome to everybody who's come from Johnny's channel. So,
Who's
so my
John?
goal, Cajun Roots Reseller. He has a show say earlier.
Okay.
One of my challenges for this year is to take this show and talk each Wednesday. Talk more about business strategy. The more I read, the more, because I've challenged myself 3 books a year, 3 books a month, and one with the group, and then these 2 others is to really focus us on the business aspect. You know, we can talk reselling. If you're new to the channel and new to reselling, welcome to reselling. You got a question about shipping or whatever, we'll be more than happy to answer whatever you got. Just put it in the chat. Thank you. But I want to make this a place where people can come and really understand that there are people out there who are more concerned about, this is the business, this is that growing the companies they're building, and what does it take to run the business side. I mean, we'll still talk. If something changes, we'll still talk about it. But I don't want to get mired down into uh, infighting over silly stuff like promotion, over stuff that you can't control anyway. If the platform has changed, if they're trying to bring AI for you, you either adapt or fail. I mean, you made a business decision. You have decided not to do what's right for your business by going fighting change instead of moving with change. You've made a business decision, and you'll suffer the consequences. Um, so
Like
Rachel says Atomic Habits is one of the best books. It's on the list, Beth. It's the beardypicker.com books. There's a list of the books for the first 6. I think. Let's see. Let's see. Atomic Habits is on the first. Atomic Habits is book number 5. So in May, I will read Atomic Habits. I might not wait that long, but we'll discuss it in May. And that's the good thing about I'll get the rest of the. I'll put a list of all the books I'm gonna read, and on the list I'll put a star about which ones are gonna be. But I've got a lot of notes up here of different. A lot of people made different suggestions, and that's the one thing I want to do is to. I don't want to get stuck to where I think John said it last night. You can't apply everything each one of these books says. You've got to cherry pick what's best and work best in your business. What concepts and applications you can apply that makes you successful, that makes your business work. And so I'm convinced that the more things you consume, the more ideas you can really mold your business into a well-oiled machine. And I don't want to be stuck with just one point of view, because I don't think there's necessarily just one way to do things. Sean, you're rare. Sean says, I do it part-time and try to run it like a business. Yeah, not everybody does that, Sean. And that's the fine. If you want to be a hobbyist, be a hobby. Go be a hobbyist. But, I'm probably not going to be the one to listen to if you're a hobbyist, because we're going to talk about serious issues. We're going to talk about things that truly matter. Because I can tell you one thing, running a business is not easy. I mean, look, 90% of small businesses fail. It's not easy. That's the thing that people miss. And the resale, they think because they're on a platform and they can go buy cheap clothes or whatever it is, that they have some God determined right that their business is supposed to succeed. And be damn platforms and everything around them must bow to them because they can go to the bins and buy mall clothes. It's the damnedest thing you've ever seen. It's a rant over. I think I went longer than John today.
Wow, that's hard to do.
Yeah, John flipping ain't easy rants for 7 or 8 minutes. So there you go, John. I got you.
I don't think any of that was a real rant, though.
No, but it's not right. He calls it more of a diatribe monologue when he starts his shows. Philly Flipper loves seeing Todd's hands. He's not even showing you the hand today, Philly Flipper.
No, he's showing you the Michigan hat. I don't know why that's up there.
He must be rubbing them with lotion so they look nice and shiny whenever he does show them again.
Oh, he's rubbing them all right.
I sold it yesterday.
Different kind of show, John.
Why? What happened with Michigan? What'd they do?
They won the national championship Monday night.
Oh.
Hey, put a nice note in there, Todd, saying congratulations on your championship, you cheating bastards, and see how they go.
Oh, since you don't talk politics now football's cheating.
Well, they actually got caught cheating, so.
Oh.
They suspended their coach twice for 3 games in the season, and then everybody wants to complain about the order of the people that they put in the playoffs, and they go, wait a minute, the team that had suspended its head coach twice and got caught for cheating for the last 2 or 3 years is still eligible? What?
For the avid readers that want to understand e-commerce and why Amazon does what it does versus what eBay does, what they do, I recommend the book, The Bezos Letters. It's a very difficult read. It's what it is a collection of the annual shareholder letters that Bezos wrote to the shareholders of Amazon. And it'll give you a much clearer understanding of why Amazon does and changes the rules the way they do. It'll give you a whole new perspective on selling on Amazon. It's not an easy book to read.
No, and Tamara, don't get me wrong. I don't think there's if you want to be someone who's a hobbyist, there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of stuff out there you can do. And if you just want to do this part time, and whether you choose to be a hobbyist or serious about the business, I think it's a decision that people need to make and they need to understand because it affects the way you see things and the way you do things.
But I think once the decision's made, they have to personally accept it.
Right.
I have the listen. This isn't my ego or anything. I have the ability to build a $10 million company. It's not my desire. I have a lot of people talking in my ears about going that big because I have the capability and the resources to do it. I just am not going to do it. Oh, wait, I got to change my background.
Shut up.
Yeah. You look awful angry this morning there, Tom.
All right. Our power came on about 3 o'clock this morning.
Oh, shit.
I still have no Wi-Fi, internet access, no telephone, no cable, no nothing.
So you got what we got the night before. That's why I had to end. People are like, we don't understand why your internet's so bad. It was 50-mile-an-hour winds, Gus. And, I mean, for those who don't know, even though my neighborhood has all underground utilities, all the stuff coming down your highways and stuff, there's cable lines that are in the air, and as they're blowing something terrible, the cable was awful. I mean, we don't have cable TV. I have cable internet.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I'm self-contained.
We got it yesterday, and it was nasty, up to 64-mile-an-hour gusts. A lot of people still without power.
I have no cable. My internet is satellite. If my power goes out, I hit a button and my 11,000 watt generator starts up.
I'm getting ready to have one of those hooked to my house.
I was thinking about that myself after yesterday. I'm like, damn, we probably need a generator.
No telephone. You do realize Tom was one of the last people in America that has a landline.
Kiss my ass. There's a lot of people that have them.
My mom still
got a
has a landline.
I do not I am not 16 years old. I do not walk around with my telephone in my pocket all the time. Half the time I have to go to my computer and I do find my phone to find it. I like being able to reach it right over here on my end.
Listen, if you put your phone in your pocket, at least you'll have something in your pocket.
I like that too. Whenever Tom gets upset, the phone starts moving and rattling too.
Yeah. I am not in a good mood today. About your books. About your books.
Okay, Tom, about the books. What
About the books. My problem with those style of books are they have so much fluff in it to fill out the book that I get bored before I can get to the good stuff.
I have to agree with you.
That's why
Tom.
I'm listening to him. That's why I'm listening to him, Tom, because I tried reading it and I fell asleep twice, and I'm like, damn, I'm old. I need to listen to this book.
Yeah, my only problem with Profit First was he just kept going on and on and on about the same thing over and over. Now, it was a good book. Don't get me wrong, but I get bored easily.
You know, and I understand that they have got to make these books thick
They have to, yeah.
to make people think that they're getting their money's worth. But
Isn't that
like I said, I get bored.
Isn't that in any book?
Yeah.
Well, not Clive Cussler.
Any book of that nature, yes.
Yeah.
Did you say you collect hustlers? Is that what you said?
No, Clive Cussler.
Oh,
he wrote.
I misunderstood what he said. I'm sorry.
He wrote the Dirt Pit series of books. You know, they're like James Bondy type things. Everything's relevant.
You know, a lot of people say I should write a book, and I can't put. I've tried to. I got 5 or 6 books that I've started to write about my life, and honestly, I can't put the fluff in that would make the book a sellable book.
Yeah,
honestly, I'm surprised that. Excuse me.
Tom dies on the internet.
Hey! We don't need that. We'd have a #1 show.
I forgot what I was going to say. You know, I really thought these like ebooks would take off, but they've not really. You know, where people are they're getting to the point they don't have to worry about publishing. People can just download them and go.
Okay, so are you been held hostage in a paneling room? Blink twice if you want us to call the cops.
No, I'm good. This is oak paneling.
Are you good, or is that what they told you to say?
No, I'm good. And this is oak paneling. It probably costs as much as your house did.
My stepdad paneled our living room with that real wood stuff. He bought one piece of paycheck because that's all he could afford. And it took like 6 or 8 months to get the whole living room done. And then he did the bedroom.
This was here when we bought it.
That stuff was like $17 a sheet back in the 80s.
This is strip stuff. This is plank that's been mitered and put together.
But just because the books have to have a little bit of extra in them does not mean that there's not quality learning and things that you can apply. That's why I'm enjoying listening to the book, because I'm continuing to do other things and I've got headphones wherever they're in my pocket. Then I can listen to the book, or I will listen to them in the car, and it really does. You know, you'll be amazed how much you can retain. Because I think someone asked me. It might have been Tommy saying, because I had the same concern. Listen to a book, how much would you retain? I remembered a lot of it. So, and I think that the key concepts you won't miss. And so I think that's what's important, is to exposing your mind to different business concepts. Giving yourself something to think about and something to apply. It's not. If you want to focus on the negative of everything about a book having fluff in it, the world's got fluff in it. Don't don't
I
get in it.
understand why they do it.
Don't use an excuse not to get started. You've got to. Is
I
that
understand
keto?
why they put that extra stuff in there. It drives home the point.
Is that keto? Are you cheating on your diet because you don't have any power?
No, that is a Pepsi free, a zero. And I was eating scrambled eggs and ham.
Very nice.
Green eggs?
Congratulations. No, not green eggs.
I'm doing I'm doing the carnivore for about 4 weeks, and then I'll switch back to keto. But like I said, a lot of I agree with you with about the audiobooks, and two of my sons have have Spotify and all that kind of crap that you can download it off of. But like I said, the books I don't know, maybe it's reading and I'm not really interested in it. I get bored and I kind of doze off.
I'd much rather have an audiobook myself.
So Harbor's Hope, Ron called me the other day, and just to talk a little bit about the book, and he is saying that 80% of college was BS. You want to talk about fluff?
Yeah.
The amount of money that is wasted on college and education in general, because we don't teach life skills, we don't teach business skills. You are indoctrinated into a system, and that's the problem with society today. Is they want you to think a way, certain way, and do everything their way, and in order to break out from that, you've got to do things different. It means reading. It means taking chances. It means going against the grain, and it's none of it's easy, but it's rewarding. It's well worth it to have self-reliance and to do things. There's a lot of satisfaction in running a business well. I promise you.
I agree with Josh that these books are filled with inspiration and knowledge. The problem is, for me, it took a lot of time to get to the point to understand that it was worth the time to sit down, turn everything off, and study what the book was saying. Is there a lot of fluff? Yeah, you can get the main points by going to Chat GPT and asking it to write a summary of the 5 main points of any book, and it'll write a summary for you that you get the basics from. But the studying of the book, it's not just reading a book and understanding what it's saying. It's acquiring the knowledge of being able to do what it's saying that makes the fluff important.
I think he had to put that fluff in there with Profit First specifically, because you need to know this guy's background and where he's coming from, and then he gets to the formula. Now, the formula can be summed up in 2 or 3 pages. It's an easy formula.
And I don't think, especially the audiobook's a little different. I don't necessarily consider it fluff. I enjoy listening to, him talk to other people who have done what he's talking. His support of his thesis and that kind of thing. It really enlists, and just getting the audiobooks. This is the first audiobook I've ever done, and it was very different. It really brought a connection to the author, where I'm going to listen to some of his other books because I like his personality and how he thinks and the way he comes across and his sense of humor. And so,
is he reading those books himself?
Yes, he did. That one he did.
Okay, because that makes a big difference right there too. But I can sit for 2 hours and listen to Scott rattle along, but if he wrote it all down in the book, I'd never get through it. You know what I mean? And he's right about the audio part of it. I think the audio part of it makes a big difference.
But you have to do something to continue learning, because there's nothing out there. They don't want you to succeed. They want you to go get a job and work for one of these big corporations until they lay you off and do whatever. They want you to think the group think. It's not to their benefit for you to do things your way. So Flipping Sports Guy, you got a great point. Says the problem with the books is to follow people. They get inspiration and they fall back into their usual habits.
Absolutely.
and so it's a decision you've got to make is to what's important in that book and how can you apply it. And I know there are going to be some books that'll be a great read and stuff to listen to, and I'll think there's nothing I'm going to apply here, but I'm still better for have listened to it because I don't believe in groupthink. I don't believe in you know I don't want to always hear people that agree with me because you never learn if you don't expose yourself to the other to a different point of view. You never learn because you're never challenged on your views and your principles and your beliefs. And so how do you learn if you don't understand there's alternative methods out there?
You've got to stay on. You got to stay on top of what's going on. If you've got a business, you've got to know what's going on around you. I was reading an article this morning in the Charlotte Observer. 40% or the Uptown Charlotte Towers has a 40% vacancy. And the city of Charlotte is losing their mind because that's not producing taxes. So because they've gotten rid of the fancy buildings. They've learned that they can run a multi-million-dollar company from their home office and whatnot.
Well, that's all big cities. Look at San Francisco. You want to see it's even worse. Look at the occupation rate of the people that are just walking away from leases in downtown San Francisco.
New York City is supposed to have a very, very high vacancy rate in both their commercial and their residential. And the residential being because those buildings need a lot of work, and because of the rental regulations in the city of New York, they can't raise the rent to compensate for the $100,000 that they had to spend on renovating that one apartment.
But don't worry, they're working on the traffic problem. They're just going to charge you to come downtown every day. You see that?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Downtown where? New York?
New York,
Downtown New York. They're going to call it a congestion zone. I think it starts now, or somebody who lives in New York can tell you it's called a congestion zone, and they're going to charge you from like 5 a.m. through 9 p.m. if you come into that area. It's like $8 or $10.
You're going to have to pay a toll, right?
These big cities that keep doing this stuff are eventually going to collapse. There's no way they can sustain this crap. No way. People are leaving. I mean, I don't know if you follow Louis Rossman, man. He had enough.
Yeah, he had enough. He walked away.
Yeah.
Alabama's full too. Y'all go somewhere else. Go to Arizona. But Alabama's full.
London they have like Central London has a fee, a tax for if you could drive uptown, they charge you a fee.
Well, that's
at least they did.
That's what's coming to New York.
That's what's coming to Huntsville, Alabama.
No, it ain't. That means they're gonna just avoid the square right in the middle of town. That's all you got to do.
So,
go ahead, Steve.
It seems to me that people are going to be leaving these towns, and then they're going to go to other towns, and those towns will, in turn, start doing the same thing because it's the same damn people. It's just going to be a cycle.
But that'll happen over time, and we can work them not to New York or whatever. But
I hope so.
So
but the need for a New York City is no longer there. There was a time where there was a need for New York City and places like that, Los Angeles, right. San Francisco, Washington, D.C., all these places that have these huge high rises and large amounts of rental property, office buildings, and that kind of stuff. We don't need those now. We have become a remote society, and we don't need the office space.
So Progressive in Cleveland, they have I think that's where the headquarters are, but they have a bunch of buildings. They sold them all to another company, downsized to one building. And it's not because they laid anybody off. It's because after the pandemic, they realized it was cheaper not to maintain these buildings and let these people work from home.
Well, what people don't understand is during the pandemic, larger companies were forced to find a way to operate with less
Less of
labor,
everything. Less of everything. Less buildings, less labor, less everything.
less labor. And because of that, I know we have a 3% unemployment rate, which is bullshit because they're not taking into account of people not looking for work. But companies had to do business differently. So when we open back up as a society, it naturally is going to change the way that we do business. You know, at the end of the revolutionary, at the end of the, pick any age to our history, and there, at the end of it, there had to be a change for progress.
We've got an expert on the end of the American Revolutionary period. There's Tom. He can tell us about it.
Oh, shut up.
You know, you had to.
Come on, Tom's not that old. Civil War era.
Yeah, Civil War. Thank you.
When I got out of high school, there was, there was the internet was just coming about. AOL was AOL. There was no 3.0 or 3.6
Yeah.
or 9 point whatever. My original Photoshop was Photoshop. It wasn't Photoshop 1.6 or whatever the frick the numbers are now. All these things happen for a reason. We are progressing as a society. Now, do we agree with it? Not everybody agrees with everything that's being done, but there is a point where we have to look at it that society is going to change. The way we live our lives will change. New York City will crumble at some point. Will it become a ghost town? No, I don't think so. But I think they're going to struggle to find their place going forwards because a lot of their income as a city is from rental because there's taxes on rental property.
And this goes to my original premise when I talked the first part of the show is are you developing your mind to run your business? Because to think that it's I work in e-commerce, I do everything on the internet. As society changes around you and as business changes around you, to think that the platforms that you're selling on are not going to change as well to reflect society and a lot of the things, you're kidding yourself. And so many people are have the ostrich message of doing everything. You know, they're just going to stick their head in the sand and hope everything works out all right as they get hit right square in the ass with their head in the sand. You know, that's why I'm determined to learn business. You know, to learn more business concepts and to really focus on really learning that part of my business and really I'm going to treat it as much as important as the discontinued items that I'll be hunting.
You made a point earlier about, are you running a business or are you running a side hustle to make, beer money or poker money or just a side thing? Because there is a big difference between the two of them. Even though you're supposed to, you got to do the taxes on all of them, but to have a successful business, you have to really, like you said, stay on top of the business, what's going on in the business world as far as how you do things. And
yeah, can't. I mean, it truly is evolve or perish. And that's I people because we're in a time right now where you can see the change. Most of the time, change is sort of just moseys on, but with the advances in technology and all the different geopolitical forces and everything, and live in time reporting, you see everything as it happens, and so it's also a different time. Times like this have not happened, but well, unless depends on who you ask. There's people that think there were more civilized societies than us before, but
I agree. I agree with Kent and disagree. Evolve or perish. I think you can get too caught up in evolving your business that you never have a business to begin with. At some point, you have to go, here is my business model, and this is how my business is going to operate. Will there be small changes that will affect your business? Yes, there will. But at some point, you have to go, okay, I'm going to hunt discontinued items, and that is going to be the main source of my income. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're not always trying to evolve that business plan to make it what's going on and what everybody else is doing. There's a point where you have to do business your way. Now, do you have to make changes because a platform made a change? Sometimes, but not always. Some things will affect you, some things won't. You need to know which is which. But if Scott goes, okay, this week I'm chasing discontinued items, and then next week he goes, well, I'm not going to do discontinued items anymore. I'm going to do this. And then because that's the latest, greatest idea everybody has. And then the following week, he's going to do that. He's never going to get anywhere. At some point, you have to go, this is my business plan. I agree with Ken. You know, Ken's bringing up all these companies that went under because they refused to change. Sears is still in business, guys.
Barely, but yes.
They went to a repair facility. They went back to being an appliance repair company. Motorola is still in business. You still can buy Motorola product. Are they cutting edge anymore? No, they're not. Sears' biggest problem was they didn't believe the internet was real. Well, that was a decision they made to stick with their business model. And
they were also
yes.
They were also in trouble before that. They were struggling in the 90s before the internet.
Who, Sears?
Yeah, the internet was just a death knell.
You know what Sears' biggest problem was? My mom was a higher up at Sears. Sears' biggest problem was they didn't have a business plan. The business model had gotten disrupted, and they did exactly what I'm saying, is they started chasing every idea, and nothing ever was what they were going to stick with. They changed CEOs and business directions numerous times in the late 90s. They changed CEOs probably 6 times in 5 years.
All my clothes when I was a kid came from Sears.
Nothing.
I mean, that's where my mom did all our clothes shopping because I wore Tough Skins. You know,
man, Tough Skins. I had Tough Skins because they were lifetime guaranteeing you. If you got a hole in them, your mother ran them down to Sears and argued with the cashier until she got a new pair.
Yeah.
So Tamara mentions malls, and that's part of Sears' problem too. Is the anchor store concept really was the last dying, because they had evolved from a catalog business into the anchor stores and malls. If you're not old enough to remember malls were a thing in the 80s. They built them everywhere.
We still have a good one.
They came through the late 60s, 70s, and 80s, and that was it. But as the 90s rolled and these things rolled out of favor, Sears had to pay such a huge investment. And look at the brands that were, JCPenney's is in the same shape. They were sold out to the malls. These big anchor companies that, there was one here in Alabama called Parisians that got gobbled up by Dillard's, which I don't think Dillard's is doing all that great.
Does Dillard's even exist anymore?
Yeah, very popular out here.
Really?
And one thing about the malls is that I was reading a prospectus from one of the companies I have an interest in, and they are selling off their malls because they are so expensive to operate, and they're going back to strip centers.
Yeah, you'll see because strip malls, yeah.
Because malls are just so extremely expensive to operate, and companies could not Companies just can't afford the extra upkeep that you have to do.
It's really weird about malls. I think everybody wanted a mall in their town at one time. We have a mall over here that's dead. I don't even know how the lights stay on in there. There's only a few stores in there. But if you go over to Erie, that mall is booming. You can't go in there you can barely find parking there. It's been so I think certain areas of the country, malls are still a great concept and they work really well, like Erie. But over here in Ashtabula, nah, it wasn't a good concept from the beginning.
So Kent says other companies laugh when they introduce iPhone. Not only that, it's because of we think of Apple as where they are right now. Look at Apple through the '90s. Apple was almost out. Folks don't realize that one or two largest companies in the world was almost gone. They were so close to being gone through mismanagement and whatever they did through the '90s. So,
And they just couldn't get a market share of their product.
I want to read you a quote from Bezos.
Okay.
This is November 27th, 2018. Bezos is addressing the employees of Amazon. Jeff Bezos to the employees. One day, Amazon will fail, but our job is to delay it as long as possible.
Yep.
When you enter a business model with that mentality, you are going to be on the cutting edge for a long period of time. But he also knows at some point in time, Amazon will fail.
And so that's why the whole concept of the show today is that side of your business has got to be a serious thought. It's got to be a concern if you're going to any kind of longevity in your reselling business, and you've got to understand business concepts, because you can be like me, and I've been doing this since full time since 13, and getting by without it. You can't get by without it, but I can't imagine the difference if in 2013 if I would have been smart enough and to have went all in on the business side as hard as I went everything else, where I would be right now.
I agree with you.
You know
Look
why
where
most
I'm at,
businesses fail second generation? The business model isn't properly explained to the next generation. There's usually not a legacy or an exit plan in the business.
Yeah.
Somebody dies and it's left to the kids, and the kids don't know how to run it because there's no legacy or exit plan in writing of what should happen at the end of the owner or the founder's life. It's not an easy thing to do.
A lot of the kids don't want it anyway. They just let it die.
Exactly. My brother, case in point, my oldest brother, and my younger brother, they have a company. It's a land surveying company. When they retire, they will probably shut it down. Even though they're one of the largest in South Carolina that handles what they do, they will probably shut it down because they don't have any children that are well. You just can't jump into it nowadays. You've got to have a degree, and you've got to have years of experience to be licensed, which is what all like electricians and plumbers and HVAC people, they've all got to do the same thing now too. But there's just nobody to take it over. And honestly, it would be cheaper for somebody to take a third of what it would cost to buy their business and build a new start off from scratch.
Well, that's what. Listen, any of our companies, you have to face the reality that it'd be cheaper to start a new business than buy one. The only thing anybody would want from my company is the relationships that I have with the manufacturers.
Right.
That's the only thing that's of any value in my business. There's nothing else proprietary in my company.
My grandfather ran a farm for most of his life, dairy farm, and then a produce farm. Well, I had no desire to take over the produce farm. I could have, and I'd probably still be doing it, but that's how businesses die. A lot of the time.
And data companies that have large chunks of data
I can't
that
imagine
are
Steve.
usable,
Well,
I grew
that's
up
really
with a farm.
important.
listen, Elon Musk understands what the currency of the world's going to be. I don't care what you got to say about the man. He bought X for one reason. Twitter, formerly Twitter. He bought it for one reason. The data that it has.
Absolutely.
Because
And-
the man with the data will have control in my lifetime.
I also think that he is smart enough to have studied China and how dependent they are on that social media platform, whatever it's called, that they run all their banking through. You listen to what he said about it, about his visions on X and being able to do financial transactions and all kinds of stuff. It's mirroring what's going on through China through their social platforms. So, we kind of got off way away from reselling and that,
I
and
don't
just
think so.
really talking with
It's
business.
about
But
business.
business, whether you like it or not, you run a business. You can clothe it, and I'm a reseller. You can clothe it in whatever. At the end of the day, it is you won't fail as a reseller because you don't know how to resell. You will fail at reselling because the business side of your business is not being taken care of. I'm firmly convinced that.
That is exactly the case. Exactly. I can resell my pants off, but I'm not a very good businessman. Now, after, looking back and reflecting, I'll be a much better businessman when I go back to full time. But
And so I think it's vitally important that you learn these skills because there's nobody out there. It's up to you to learn. Nobody's going to force you to do it. You don't have us, unless except for John. John's got people. He is a CEO, but there's nobody that's going to say, hey, continue education and learn this and get better at this. There's nobody out there going to force you. You are it. So,
And you talk about like Warren Buffett reads every day. He doesn't read. He studies. He cross-references lines out of books to other people and the through history, and he reads a lot of nonfiction. He's spoken about this numerous times. He likes autobiographies. Him and Charlie Munger both loved the autobiographies. Charlie Munger was a big studier of Ben Franklin and his mind and how he thought and reasoned and made decisions. There's a difference between reading because you want to read and enjoy reading, and reading to understand and learn a principle or a concept or a way of doing something. And that's something we need to take into account when we're reading, is why you're reading. Listen, I'm not here saying the only way to do this is my way. My way's wrong, if you ask me. I know somebody said, "Oh, after hearing me talk last night, they're rethinking their business plan." I understand that my business is much bigger than I ever wanted it to be. It is a monster. It was a monster for many years that was killing me. I didn't have time to talk to Scott. I didn't have time to come on here. I worked 20 hours a day to try and keep that monster under control long enough that I could get to a point where it was okay.
my new phone, somehow I've been put in somebody's text. Did we send? This is a draft for an obituary. Did we send this to Lisa? Evidently, Charlie Lee Folks Jr. was born in 1940. He was the fifth child of the late Charlie Lee Folks Sr.
Don't know him.
I know. So that gets me. So there was this guy. I don't know if he was actually for real. He's a comedian, but he talked about that. Whenever people call him on the phone, he pretends like he's them.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Have you heard that guy that bit about
I wouldn't do it in this case because that's kind of a serious matter, the obituary thing. But
You know what gets me? We get messages from a school that's in Indiana because Chastity did not show up for school today. My wife has
Well,
called that school and said, first of all, I'm in North Carolina. I do not have any daughters, and you know, so can you change this phone number?
I would have
And
them
we're
filing missing persons reports and shit.
I would, it's ridiculous the crap that you get that's legit. I'm not talking about the spam and the junk mail and stuff like that. I'm talking about the legit from organizations like schools that just blatantly send out stuff
I have
and it's not correct.
I have some guy's old phone number. His name is James DeBow. If you're James DeBow, I'm coming for you, buddy. I actually found out his real phone number, his current phone number at one point. I can't find it now, and I would give it to these people who call me every day. But I get some people really angry with me because I'm not paying my bills as James DeBow. Yeah, it's crazy. He hasn't had this number in 10 years.
Nicolette says, and that was what's her name from last night, Trina.
Yeah.
Trumpy, your front end effort is now paying off. I got mocked and ridiculed for years. When Scott and I first met, I said I would eventually have a multi-million-dollar company that was hands-free. And they all thought I was nuts when I was on the show.
For the record, I think you're nuts.
Well,
Yeah.
but I had a vision of what I wanted, and I went after it. Was it easy? No. Did I make mistakes? I made more mistakes than I had wins. My wins just lasted a long time, which I was very lucky about. There was things that I did that were successful over time. But it was a plan. It was always in my plan to run a multi-million-dollar company hands free. It was never, oh, I'm going to resell, some socks on eBay and make a living. It was never that. I never considered myself a reseller. It was never, this is a hobby. From day one, this was a business. It was planned as a business. Everything I do is meant to be a business. And you have to go into it with that mentality.
And because I had, there was no one in my life that even though I had a business degree and I had run lots of franchises for other people, I was not smart enough to realize that that's a mistake I made. I always saw myself as a reseller. And now 10 years later, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? I should have seen myself like John sees himself. Not that I want to build a business like that, because I still am anti-employees after all these years, but different processes could have made my life easier, and better decisions. So it's important to understand who you are and where you want to be and what do you want out of this. I ask again, why are you reselling? And that the answer to that question, and what do you want out of it, will answer how serious do you want to take the business side of it. If you're not a full time and you don't ever want to be full time, and this is not, then maybe continue arguing about promoted listings or those kind of things. Josh, I'm going all in. You're 100% right. It's. I understand that I'm still the only employee, but I want the better decisions on the business side to make the rest of it better.
Let me tell you something. I could run my business working probably 30 to 40 hours a week with no employees at this point. It's not my employees. The only employee that I have to keep would be my CFO. I need help with my money. I just don't have the capability to manage the money coming in and out at the same capacity that he's able to do it for me. He's able to lay out my bills and all that. but I could run my business by myself at this point. I could have built $1 million business from the ground up that I could have built by myself. My plan was always to help my family and other people. So it's not about having employees. A business isn't employees. A business, I really believe a business is the processes and the systems that you use on a daily basis to generate an income from.
And you young folks, and I'm not talking about you.
Thanks. You call me
Not
young.
you.
I like you, buddy.
Not you. I'm not talking about you. Actually, I'm not talking about anybody on this panel because they're all getting kind of long in tooth, as the saying goes.
Not that old. Come on.
Y'all got to, Jake, the real, what is it you call him, the slumlord? He's doing that plus doing the reselling thing. He's young. He's got a lot of energy. He can burn it at both ends. Us old folks, we can't do it. Y'all got to stay on top of this stuff because y'all got a long way to go. Hopefully, y'all have a long way to go.
The willow whipper, yeah.
Well, that's it. That's a cute little gimmick there. If he's making money at it, knock yourself out.
He's making making very good money at it.
I'm just offended that you lump me in with all the old guys. That's all.
Well, you're in your 50s, aren't you?
It's not old.
Well, I know it's not, but those young ones that's listening, they're like, God, these people already got their foot in the grave.
No, I do feel old, and it's hard for us old guys to change our ways too.
Cold weather makes me feel older than I am.
Lisa did get the obituary draft because it came from. It says, did we send it to Lisa? Yes, Lisa actually sent it to me. So Lisa did get the draft of the obituary. If y'all were playing.
Good. Oh man, I was so worried.
I'm
glad Lisa got it.
So Jacob is a great study. People want to make every excuse why they can't do the business side, why they can't do whatever. And yes, Scandafree, we're talking about you. We're talking about someone who grew up in a community and was raised that didn't do any of the business stuff. He is self-taught on everything, and with a desire to forge his own way and to have his own business. Huh?
Who's Amish?
Scandafree Jacob. He grew up Amish.
The kid that was on the show last night?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. That's why when I asked him something about pop culture, I'm like, wait a minute, I forget who the hell I'm asking.
Yeah, but Jacob has a pretty good grasp on, what it's like not to be Amish too. But those Amish guys, my brother-in-law is Amish. Some of you guys know him.
They gonna outwork that kid.
No.
They were, born and raised on hard work and certain principles, and those things can carry over into modern society as well. So it's work ethic. That's right.
But the necessity, I believe a lot of people would be more aggressive about this business if they needed the money to survive. I mean, absolutely had to have, their rent wasn't going to get paid and they were going to be on the street. I think there's a need. There is a need to drive whatever you do.
Your mind changes really quick when you're broke.
Yeah, you can list 100 items in a day because you're hoping that 400 will come in before your rent's due. But my mom, I've mentioned it several times. My mom grew up on a farm. She did have a high school diploma. She was always a stay-at-home mom until like 1972 when my dad went in business for himself, and she learned how to be his bookkeeper. And when she retired, she was managing the bookwork on a multi-million-dollar company. And it was all self-taught and with a good CPA, Matter of fact, Mom, I said this Tuesday, I think it was. Our CPA was telling my dad, you need to pay her more, or she's gonna come to work for me because she's worth 3 times what you're paying her.
See,
You know,
so check.
she had to learn how to do it because that's how they had to pay the bills.
So Jacob said he's always made a point to seek out good mentors. So in business, how do you do this? It's you read business books, and that's where this all started from. Is it's very hard, even with all the communication today. But people have written down their successes, and you can learn the lessons, and you can agree with them or just you're better. I'm telling you, even if you don't agree with the book or the way somebody has done something, you're better off to be exposed to it, so that you can make your own decision and apply. Some of the biggest lessons in life are, man, I would never do that, and you put guardrails up to not go there because it's not the way you do things.
Oh, absolutely agree. 100%.
Or you read something in their book that they did that blew up in their face, and you're like, we need to stay. We need to try not to get in that same mindset or that process or whatever.
Because that was one nice thing about Profit First is he tells you of his mistakes and what the warning signs were, and I'm sitting there listening to it and go, this dude is talking to me. What the hell? I mean, you feel like because he's reading his own book that he's personally, you can identify with making the same mistakes. And I'm telling you, this is going to be a different year because I'm going to be a way, but I'm already a good reseller. I can't wait to combine the fact that I'm a good business person on top of it. It's going to be.
But part of it is the people you surround yourself with. It really is the people that you surround yourself with, and what you take away from those people. When I was on Paul's show, I used it as a driving factor to make me force myself to do things that were hard to do, to make business decisions that were hard to do, so that I could go, look, I did $1,000 today, and turn my phone around and everybody go, holy shit. When I started doing $1,000 a day, it was a big deal. And then it was 2,000, then it was 4,000, then it's, whatever it is. But you have to surround yourself. And Jacob said this with the mentors, you have to have 5 people around you. And where I failed was I got to a point and I stopped growing. I stopped growing the 5 people that were around me. Not saying that any of you, I wouldn't break bread with any of you. That's not, it's the people that I take advice from, I turn to. When I have a problem, it's hard for me to find a resource now that's had a similar problem. And part of that is because I stopped growing. I stopped the networking. I stopped dealing with people that were a little bit bigger than me. If you're doing $10,000 a year in sales and you come to me with a problem, it's going to be hard for me to solve because it's been a long time since I had to think about $10,000 in a year of sales, or the problems that are associated with that, like listings or titles or keywords or SEO or any of that stuff. It's who you surround yourself with, and the better the people you surround yourself with, the better your life will become. If you notice, I'm a little happier in the last 6 months or so. It's not about business for me anymore. It's about what makes me happy. And I'm surrounding myself with people that are doing things that they want to do. And I'm starting to understand why I need to live my life based on what I want, and not so much what my capabilities or my abilities are. My abilities are to run a $10 million company. I don't have that desire. It's not going to make me happy. Additional money is not going to make me happy. Charlie Munger talked about this. I know I talk a lot about Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. These are people that I study. I study how they make their decisions. That's how I know Charlie Munger studies Ben Franklin and why he made decisions that he made in his lifetime. So I know I can get carried away on topics like that, but it's really, that's how I got to where I am. I moved my circle of people up. I didn't abandon most of my friendships. There are people that I have lost along the way. Adam, I miss Adam. I think about Adam frequently. Dusty, Paul. I miss doing the show in the morning with Paul. All those things, I miss those things. But as you grow, you have to change the people around you. Otherwise, you're not going to grow, or you're going to grow in a different way.
I was listening to one of the PBS business programs, and there was a couple of guys on there. I knew their names. I what kind of businesses they were in. I don't know a lot about them in the future. I mean, like their history, but they're like C-19 changed everything. How people, how business operating, businesses are becoming more efficient. They're having to learn to become more efficient. And, that's what Scott's talking about, being more efficient and running your business better. And because this reselling part of it's easy.
Yeah,
You just got to do it.
That's the part that it'll change some, but it's you've got to have both sides. You've got to understand the business aspect of it, especially if you're going to go to take advantage of the full opportunity that is Amazon. You truly need to, and they are almost with a lot of the stuff they are doing. They are forcing that down. People are complaining about the minimum. There's going to be a fee for going below the minimum stock levels. It's because Amazon is forcing companies and people to get their supply chains right. Then the way they have figured out to do that is, to encourage better performance by making it punitive if they don't. Whether I agree with that or not, it's what's coming.
Here's what I can tell you about the changes Amazon made. It will make me a better business. I will have to accept the changes they make because you can sign all the frickin' petitions in the world and Jeff Bezos will just piss on them.
I agree.
I have to accept their changes. And once I accept their changes, I'm going to have to better my business to work within what they're asking for. If you look at this new low inventory fee, for example, and I don't know how many people know about the low inventory fee that Amazon's coming out with in the next couple of months. I'm not even sure the date.
It's sometime in March, I think it said.
There is a reason for that fee. And instead of me bitching about it, I actually sat down and took the time to figure out how am I going to avoid paying this fee? What can I do better in my business so that I don't pay this fee? Well, what they're looking to do is improve their shipping times. To improve their shipping times, they have to spread your merchandise out across the country on a more even platform than what shipping it into one fulfillment center and then spreading it out. They want a steady supply around the country. Well, how do you do that? You got to figure it out. These are things that you have to, I come in here and say that and you all get starry-eyed on me because you have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to inventory levels and, how much do I need to ship? Do I start using the new warehouse system that Amazon has, ADW? It gets over a lot of people's heads. So I try to avoid talking about stuff like that. But you have to understand when they make these changes, including eBay, it's for one reason and one reason only. They're trying to improve their business, just like you are trying to improve your hobby /job /business, whatever you call it. So you can't fault them. If you're going to use them, you got to figure out how to make improvements in your company to be able to use their platform. And I'm off my soapbox.
John, is there any guidance that how many constitutes low inventory yet? Do we know?
They haven't come out and really said much about it. They are just They're just introducing the topic now.
Because what's that going to do to people like, say, Scott, who wants to go back and sell more FBA, but he's only got a limited amount?
No, so it'll mean that a lot of I will do a better mixture. It doesn't affect FBM, so
Right.
No, it does not affect FBM.
and so I do more, and so that's another one. Some of my thinking is the items that I find generally for that are they fit in this. I don't ship anything bigger than a 1086, and so my efficiency on the shipping side goes to go all eBay. To do more eBay is crazy boxes, different sizes. Nothing's uniform, but like I was showing you, as you teared up before the show this morning, and saw
why did you have to bring that back up?
For the items that I found, that stuff fits in a 644.
Yeah, I know.
You know how long it takes me to hit the tape machine and go bam, bam to build 6 4 box and to ship all those out. I can do them, and you can bulk ship them and throw the labels on them. I mean, it takes no time, and so it's part of my learning is going back into finding those things. Is I will do more FBM this time around because of the current, but I'll also put systems in place to make it where Joni and Jacob can ship these things when I'm not around, because I don't want to lose the strength of. I don't want to have to keep turning FBM on and off.
Right.
The
Well,
other you have
Amazon,
to go ahead, Tom.
Amazon is a warehousing distributing company now. Not more than it is a reselling company. Because my nephew works for a sporting goods company that manufactures a variety of hunting and fishing and lures and all this kind of crap stuff, and they don't warehouse it. When it comes to them, it's turned around and processed and shipped to daggum Amazon warehouses all over the country. They don't only their local store has their product. They don't do any of the shipping. They don't do any of that kind of stuff. Amazon does it all.
Well, Tommy made a comment up there, and I was thinking this. Tommy made a comment that UPS is just growing stronger and stronger. UPS has major competition coming. Amazon is coming for FedEx and UPS and the distribution networks and things that they can do. Even a company as strong as UPS and in the position they're in with e-commerce and thinking, man, nobody will ever take that kind of business away from them. Competitors always rise up.
Amazon is in this for the long haul. They do not want to be a sales platform. They have decided to go after the logistics aspect of touching every product that gets shipped in America. They are going to be a major thorn in UPS and FedEx side in a very short period of time. If you follow what Amazon is putting out there for information, they are building a major distribution center for large companies like Lego, Wilson Sports. I can't think of any right off the top of my head, but these large companies will eventually distribute their products through companies like Amazon, because Amazon now has it that they want to warehouse the bulk product. It's called AWD. And then they are going to take it from that warehouse and distribute it throughout the country into more localized distribution centers, and then they are going to ship it for those companies to the end user. If you follow what Amazon is doing, they are building their logistics technology much more than they're building their seller platform. They could care less about sales, and they're looking for the logistics.
So, I was going to say, so Sean said he's trying to figure out how to do media with Amazon. Your FBM is right. I think right now that's maybe not the answer, but I think as we grow into the low stock fees, there are going to be a lot of decisions a lot of people make on items that, and there'll be media right now is still a send to Amazon because the FBA sells way faster. But start thinking about how you store those things because I think FBM for media is going to be coming. Um, and
Yeah.
there's an easy one right there. There is a filing cabinet that holds how many? I think I unplugged my camera, but
You did.
and how does it still have a red light, but it says I unplugged it? What the hell?
I don't know. It's magic.
Listen, guys, I got to go get ready because my wife has a nail appointment this morning. Her nails have to look good for the cruise.
Where are you going this time?
Hell if I know, I'm getting on a boat and going somewhere. Mexican Riviera, I'm being told.
I'm wondering if the low stock fees may be by category too. So a bookseller might be okay, or a DVD seller might be okay.
I think a bookseller is going to be okay for a short period of time. I honestly believe that Amazon has decided that they don't want to be in eBay anymore.
I can't imagine how many books are in Amazon warehouses. There's got to be bazillion of them.
I have a strange feeling Amazon media will be going away except for current new product.
Oh, you'll still be allowed to sell it, just not ship it in.
Listen, Amazon's going to become my kind of platform, is my prediction. I think it's going to become low price, high volume, small margin product. So you're going to have Lego, who normally sells to Walmart for $3 over cost, that's going to be willing to sell it for $6 over cost on a platform like Amazon, where they grab double the profit. They don't need the big margin that some retail stores have to make from manufacturing to actual distribution. I think there's going to be a lot of changes. And if you're not keeping up with technology, reading, learning, YouTube videos, those kinds of things, you're going to struggle. The only thing that got me to where I am is luck. Plain and simple. I've said it over and over and over again. I will go to my grave saying luck got me to where I am. Labor under correct knowledge. If you don't learn, you're going to go the way of Sears. You're going to be a dinosaur. And that's okay if that's what you choose to do.
So, Larry, Amazon still has a merch division. It is still very strong.
People don't talk about it because people steal other people's ideas.
And with that, I got to run. You guys have a blessed day.
See you, John.
All right.
A lot of the merch sellers, the biggest issue they've been having is they'll put a thing out. They have a YouTube channel or whatever. They'll put a thing out, and everybody steals that idea. So that's why you don't hear as much.
I don't think Amazon wants to be the new Temu. That's not.
I don't think that's what John was saying.
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking. Is there was I've got to go to. There's the thing about the adapting and changing and whatnot. There is a video on YouTube, or it's on Netflix, one of those two, but I believe it's YouTube. I think it's called Flying Tigers versus the United States Postal Service. And way back there in the beginning, Flying Tigers was the first parcel company. USPS sued them for handling mail, which is against the law, unless you're a contractor. And it's about how many millions of dollars that they spent, like in the 70s, fighting Flying Tigers, instead of looking at the fact, well, hell, they're making a lot of money at it. Maybe we should do the same thing, which is where the express mail and stuff came into the picture. But it's really interesting. You ought to watch it. And did you see the thing? Did you read about the change in that your president's pushing through about contractors?
Yep.
That if a company like Uber and DoorDash and stuff like that, if they rely on their contractors for business, they have got to start considering them as contract as employees and giving them the
God, I
same
hope
pay
that
and
doesn't
same
go.
benefits.
Now,
That-
Biden
that-
apparently signed an executive order yesterday about something like that, but I don't think it'll
Yeah.
affect the type of contracting that
That's
Uber.
that's coming out of the liberal mindset. That's coming out of California.
Well,
California.
here, yeah, Dan, look at what's going on in California. It doesn't work. It's not a plan that works. I am totally, most people who do these types of deliveries are against it. It's just the few that think they're being robbed or some. You signed up for this. It's just like eBay. It's not much different. You're an independent contractor on eBay because you're selling on their platform. They can shut you down anytime they want. It's the same thing. And they're saying that we should get benefits and all that. No, I disagree with all that, because when I become an employee, then I'm an employee. I don't want to be an employee.
But it
I
only
want my
applies
own
to
hours.
companies like that where they don't have any people actually doing the service. It's
Well,
all
Walmart does, though.
contractors.
Walmart does. It's a different version of the service, but it's in-home delivery where they can actually go and put your groceries away for you.
Right.
Not all Walmarts have it.
So anyway.
Walmart also has the drone delivery. So it is what it is.
Yeah,
I got to go.
all right,
Okay,
peace
Tom.
out.
Thanks for the show, Scott. It's always interesting.
I try.
Bye,
Bye.
Tom.
Bye.
Yeah, I feel like my grandfather's been yelling at me. His mic was so loud.
Now,
So I disagree somewhat, John. I see that. I agree that that's the direction they're going, but I don't think that they necessarily are out to remove small sellers. The one strength that Amazon has and has always had is their catalog. And even though they want to be the logistics, if they don't have the merchandise, so maybe
Right.
FBA changes, but I don't think they eliminate FBM. They don't. So I think
they
that's.
eliminate FBM.
I think the smaller seller is going to be pushed towards the FBM model.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't think pushed out or discouraged or anything, but I think to have your own logistics and to do the things.
What I think Amazon wants to do is work with these bigger companies like Lego to be their only distribution. And I think that's the point John was getting at.
Right.
So if you buy something on Lego.com, it ships from Amazon because Amazon warehouses that stuff. But would it make more sense for Amazon to go that route? Absolutely. To not push out small sellers. We still are there, but they would rather us have more of an FBM style model because it clogs up the doggone warehouses.
Yeah,
you can see that just by some of the shit I shipped in.
The one-offs and stuff are much more difficult
Yeah.
for them to deal with than a case.
Just books alone. Books alone has got to take up so much warehouse space. And if they could make that where they'd have that freed up space for Lego or some other, some more better selling products, of course they're going to do that.
Tommy, the reason why this happens is because so many eBay sellers are ignorant about Amazon and how bad Amazon is. They think that oh my God, look at eBay. Amazon, I've been telling people for years, Amazon search has been hoard out and it is awful. It is so hard to find. If you search for something by model number, you're going to look through so many different Chinese parts and whatever before you actually get to the real thing. It's and heaven forbid it be out of stock on Amazon. You're going to see everything under the sun but the item you're looking. You could be looking for a Diet Coke and a 6-pack, and there'd be no 6-packs available. So they're going to show you Diet Right Cola. They're going to show you cups and all kinds of stuff that people have associated the keywords with this because they're paying for pay per click on they don't have a negative keyword to kick out, and so you're going to because Amazon
we're in the wild west days of Amazon search right now, where it's been hoarded out, like you said. I think eventually they will fix that problem because they can't be making money they're making money on the pay-per-click side, but they're not offering the customer what they really want. And eventually that's going to, not be good for them. And I think it eventually will change, both with eBay too. I think it's the Wild West right now with that stuff.
And that's the thing that's made me mad about eBay searches. I don't mind that they change it and they tweak it and they do whatever, but they have made it so bad. The eBay search used to be a strength. If I looked up something, I could find that item, but it has gotten exceedingly difficult. And I think eBay has. I hope they figure out the errors of their ways. You know,
I'm sure they will.
you can make your search to where it does whatever, but you still got to. It still has to have the ability to find the item I'm looking for. You know, if I put in an item and a model number, you know, it should still pull that up, not the. And I understand you're making a lot of money with eBay Motors, but damn, everything's not associated with a car. You know,
It makes no sense to have buyers search for something and not see what they're searching for. It makes no sense.
so
So eventually,
eventually
that sort of thing will fix itself.
they'll get that sorted out. But
I think so. Eventually, it may
But-
only make sense for them to do it.
just look at, I mean, Amazon, because of the shipping prowess and everything, in spite of itself, still sell. I mean, go look for stuff. Just go search for an item on Amazon if you're not because the problem is if you buy on eBay, you don't necessarily buy on Amazon. There's not. It's a small segment of the population that shops on both platforms. You're either
I
an
tend to
eBay
shop on
seller,
eBay.
you're an eBay buyer or an Amazon buyer. There's not, and most Amazon buyers do not buy on eBay. So
Yeah, I tend to shop on eBay. There's some things that you can't get on eBay or that are better priced on Amazon, and I'll go look. But 99% of the time, I'm going to shop on eBay. Get a better deal that way, usually.
uh,
Not always.
and a lot of the association, Tommy, is way off, and I think that's part of the issue too. Because you can see it when you're making a listing. You can look at, because I don't know how many people when they're listing just and because it says the price, suggested price. If you click on the little link that it says how do we come to that, and you look at the items it's comparing it to, and you go, none of these are any of the items that these are not identical items. These are, how is it coming up with a price when it's comparing the item you're listing to just god awful craziness? Sometimes it'll be you'll get a number and it'll be the identical number of the item that if I'm using a sell similar, I'm like, that makes sense. That's probably the price I was going to be in that range. But there'll be some that'll be way low or way high, and you're looking at it going, and so if your pricing is off on the way high part, and then now you've got these eBay sellers who have listed an item, and I put it at the suggested eBay price, and I am promoting it because the price was so bad to begin with, and you have relied on eBay because you didn't do your own research, and it doesn't matter at what level you promote, that item's not going to sell because price is so. With a market and economy like it is now, price is so important.
It also could work the other way, where your eBay suggested price is way lower than what you should be selling it for too, and you're leaving money on the table.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, it is a catch-22 that's the price that eBay is using when it puts it in search results, because you need to be near the price that they say it is the average of that price. And the price is so wrong. It's in. Mark, I see what you said. I'm trying to get off on the 44 days. I'm trying to move this show more towards business concepts and not a lot of one-offs. Friday nights, I'll answer whatever questions anybody's got. That show can be the craziness or whatever. Hey, Jennifer, good morning. I wish I could sleep in till 10:30 or 9:30, Jennifer. What the hell?
Oh, you can't.
No, I can't. You think Phoebe's gonna go that long without eating?
Just saying, you could. It's just not going to work out well for you. I slept till 8. I woke up at 8 this morning.
You need to check your return settings for one, because they return at 44 days. You might have a case to file to say, hey, what's up? Do some research onto that. Now I lost it. What the hell I was even talking? 9:36. Only got a minute or two, and I will because I'm gonna have to go use the bathroom and make some breakfast. But hopefully you guys will follow my inspiration, and examine what you need to do with business, the business side of your business. A lot of it is accepting the fact that you run a business. Most people go, "I'm a reseller." No, you're a small business owner who has a resale business. I think a lot of the change has to be the change of how you look at yourself. Um,
I'll tell you, if you need to change the way you look at yourself, one of the way to do it is to step back and do something else for a while, like I'm doing, because man, do I miss reselling, and it's given me a lot of understanding of where I went wrong with it. And so I can't wait to get back and do things the right way this time, and it will be the right way. I know a lot of people doubt that, but people talk a lot, but we've demonstrated that we can handle money now, and we made some mistakes, so can't wait, and it will be sooner rather than later.
we talk about how we never went to the moon. We did go to the moon. The moon is on it's a Hollywood set. You haven't seen it?
Oh, come on.
But it's you really got to understand. Do you want to do this for the long run? I mean, because it's how many do-overs do you get if you crash your business because you didn't take care of the business side? I've been very
You're
fortunate
lucky if you're lucky if you get one.
that I have kicking and screaming and continue to do what I move blindly through this, because I truly believe if you read the Profit First book, that at any level of business that you can, if you think about it like a way a 401k, what is your employer who, if you've had a 401, if you take the percentage out, you never see it. So if you get in the habit of, doing some, looking at your money when it comes in and going, this is marked for profit, this is marked for taxes, this is marked for expenses, this is what I've got left. Imagine just that simple organization of your finances gives you a much clearer understanding, because so many people, you see so many people talking about. I mentioned it last night that I saw a YouTuber, which I like this YouTuber. I do watch him. He's a good reseller, but his title, his video, and it's probably some for clicks, was I made $178,000 on eBay last year. No. You sold $178,000 on eBay last year. There is a huge difference, and so many people don't understand the difference. They look at, they would sell this iPhone. I made $200 on an iPhone. No, you made $200 less the 14% fees, less the shipping, less your tax rate.
Mhm.
That's the line that kills me, Martha, is we lost the technology to do it. That's why we can't send anybody. Do you understand what they think, that you're dumb enough to believe that in a society that has grown exponentially technologically more superior since as long as I've been alive, they went to the moon in 1969 the year I was born. They're trying to convince you that they lost that technology, and here 54 years later, we have no freaking idea how to get back to the moon. Oh my God. What the hell?
I don't know if anybody's actually said they've lost the technology. They may have lost that particular technology. However, what's the point in going to the moon? It's just there's some point there. I'm sure there's some mining that could be done and things like that. But
that's the other thing.
But of course we could go back if we want, and they were planning on it.
Tactical Z, that completely lost my. What did I pay for this phone? This is Joni's original. So if you don't know, this is Joni's phone. This is my hand-me-down second phone from Joni. God, I have to put this nice little case on it because my lovely
pink?
wife. This is what she tells me. I'm rough on phones, and that's what she did to this one. That's what she did to this one. So yeah.
What happened?
She dropped it.
What phone is that? 10?
It's an XS Max. And by the way,
I know you're not supposed to call them 10. You're supposed to call them X. That's right.
the service the $10 service per month works great. I've had no problem scanning with it. It actually is running on Verizon, which it now gives me for $10. I have Verizon and AT&T. It's on US Mobile. Man, it's all in $10, 2 gigabytes of data. It's been very nice because this monster and the Amazon app just suck. And hotspot, you can hotspot and do all that stuff, but I'm like, so here's a change, folks.
That's what I've chosen.
How has Profit First affected me and my thinking? And this is how you expose yourself to, not Kent kind of expose yourself, but if you expose yourself to, you don't want to get arrested down there in Louisiana with Kent for exposing yourself. But if ideas, and so one of the ideas, when I'm reading the Profit First, he's talking about, one of the things he has you do is list out all your expenses. And so for me, that was, as a reseller, all of us, what's one of our bigger expenses? All these recurring subscriptions. And so taking on something as simple as a $10 phone plan, I'm like, I don't want any extra expenses. What can I cut to offset $10? And so I'm looking at all the things. And so I have when I used to make a ton of videos, I would put sound in them, and I was worried about copyright music. And I had the subscription to Epidemic Sound, and it was like $12. That is now like $18 a month that I use maybe once a month. And I'm like, that makes no sense to pay the $18 when I could put $8 back in the business and use the 10 for this. And so
and then there's a free option. Even YouTube allows you to use some music, and it's free, and you can also search royalty-free music, and there's always a free option for a lot of those.
And so I killed a second one, so now I've killed 2 services, and another one dies today. And so I challenge you to really get on top of your expenses. And how many services do you have that you truly need them?
I had a lot when I decided to cut back expenses. The phone plan was one thing I had. Verizon makes you pay for a hotspot. That's $10 a month. So I cut that immediately because I didn't need it. I'm not out scanning things anymore, and I don't have a second device. But now I actually put it back on because I have a second device now. But I cut out. I changed my repricer and went with a cheaper one. Does the same thing. I changed my inventory labs and went with Reseller list or whatever they call that because it does the same thing. It's cheaper. I don't get as much of the tools,
right?
But I still get the basic things that I actually needed, which is printing out labels.
And they're supposed to come out with an app too. Have they come out with that yet?
I don't know because I don't use it now. I've actually cut it all out now. But when I was trying to save money, the first thing that went was my subscriptions that I didn't need because there was another option, cheaper or free, to do the same thing. And the one thing that he talks about in that book is sometimes more is less. Like your 3-inch tape, for example. You are saving money by spending more up front, a little bit more up front on that 3-inch tape than you are buying rolls of 2-inch tape all the time because you're using more of the 2-inch tape. And same with the paper tape machine. You're saving a ton of money when you go into that sort of thing. And those are a lot of the principles that I actually liked.
So
I had Reseller list. I don't have it anymore. I'm just saying that I cut from Inventory Lab when it went up in price and went to Reseller list instead.
I will check this out because that was the one thing that was missing. I don't know what it exactly will do, but if this will do anything similar to what Scout IQ will do, I'll kill the $14 from Scout IQ because
what is that called? Profit Hunt.
Profit Hunt by Reseller list. Yeah, it comes with that was one thing. They upped the subscription price by like $8 or $9, but they said that some of it was due to the fact that they were offsetting the cost of that. If you don't know how much an app costs to develop, app development is ridiculously expensive.
I want to answer Carol's question real quick, and then you can go back. Carol, I do work 8-hour shifts every single day. Yesterday we came home early because the high wind, and there was power out everywhere, and we weren't getting much work done. But normally we go out. We leave here at 6:45 in the morning. We get there about 7:20, and we work until 3:00. Sometimes a little longer, but I treat it as a job. I treat it, even though I don't want to be an employee, I treat that as a job because if I don't, then I don't make any money. You know, just like eBay. When I go back into selling on eBay full time, it will be treated as a business, not as whatever the hell I was doing before, because it has to be. So go
It's
ahead.
for
Whatever you-
longevity and for to take care of your personal plan. It's got to be taken, and there's not a lot of that information out there. You know, people want to tell you what they sell. They want to tell you, you know, they want to be YouTube famous. Most YouTubers I find want to be YouTube famous. I've been YouTube famous. It's way overrated. I don't care to chase YouTube dollars.
I have to say about YouTube famous. I just got a notification 10 years ago this week. I had a video go viral. It was a Bigfoot video. Stupid little video. Yeah, so I was YouTube famous for a little while. Guess how much I made off of that video? $100. It wasn't even anything. So because of the genre, it was a Bigfoot video.
And
But-
so it's popular to talk
Yeah,
about
who cares?
the issues and that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing to me about the issues is how do you deal with change? You know, you need to understand the issues so you can make a decision on how that affects the business side of your business. You know, if a platform is moving a certain direction, you know, you either comply or you fight and your sales go down. But to be mad and angry, it's you're not. That is such wasted energy and effort. It's not going to change. Do people actually think eBay gives two rats ass? There's a few people outraged on the internet about
No.
changes. I think-
Mark says sourcing is harder now. You know, when I come back, I disagree with that. Sourcing is different now.
Different,
It's
not
not
harder.
harder.
Things change.
Different.
Targeting is different,
Yeah.
not harder. But the one thing I truly, in my heart, I believe that eBay is. I've told people that you'll understand how screwed up eBay is. Everybody was betting on the third quarter results. That's going to be it. When the third quarter results come out and eBay's numbers don't meet the market, it's going to be crazy. You look at year over year, and so the craziness happened April 1st. So it's what happens with the second quarter results coming up, not this one. So you're only halfway through till that's the second quarter results. That's the telling, and I think eBay can see the writing on the wall, and that's why they've admitted we've got a problem with search, because they can see through their own metrics that we're not privy to, that their traffic would be down, their sales would be down. They would, you know, they can see that we can only squeeze so much more out of sellers. They can tell all this stuff, and they've been messing with offsite ads enough to know that they're probably not getting the returns they'd hope for, or not the adoption they'd hope for, whatever it is. And so, you know, if something bad happens on a platform, it'll normally correct itself because it's not in the
Sometimes it might take years.
It's not in the financial interest of a platform to do things that are detrimental to its own interest, no matter what people think.
But my door is blue today, or red, excuse me.
All right, Kent, are you listening?
I wonder what color my door really is. Jeanette, yes, I still
get awesome weather year-round. You just aren't one of them.
Jeanette,
kinda
yes,
like-
I still do some eBay. Yesterday I had a really good sales.
You just aren't one of them.
We asked her again. We want something funny.
Calm your junk. It's chilly, but it's not fucking cold.
So that was better for you. She was kind of tame on the first one. So,
I
And-
thought it was funny though.
but how do you sustain this? You know, the one thing Profit First talks about is if you're dealing with your numbers in allocating percentages. So on a percentage basis, you're setting this much money away for taxes, this much money away for profit, and the percentage that's going in your OPEX accounts and your the owner's comp accounts. All these things are set. If you have a little dip, you'll have rainy day funds built up for half of your profit account to get you through. If you take care of the business side, some of these ups and downs, because I can promise you this, there's going to be issues with any platform this year. There's just going to be issues. They're going to have to fix them. There's going to be issues with supply, demand, with customers, with the economy, all these things that affect what people buy and when people buy. and your business is not going to be steady. It's not going to be like it was last year, the year before, next year. Every year is going to be different because you can't control the variables. And so
Correct.
the one thing you can do is control your business side. And so that you're smart enough to, have money. I sold this for $200. Part of that money, part of that percentage should go in the profit account, which half the profit account is your rainy day fund. To help protect you whenever things go awry or you need to make changes. It is so Thrift and Butter says sourcing is 100% harder, less margin to play with.
I
It's
agree
very
on the margin part for sure.
there is less margin because the fees have gone up on most platforms. I don't necessarily agree to how much harder it is. It's definitely different. You've got more competition and the ease. You know what I think it is? The sourcing part is the cherry picking has been taken off of it. Where you could go into Walmart on clearance, or you could go into Target on clearance. Those have become whole models, and you really have to understand what you're doing in order to make money on Walmart or Walgreens or these major companies' clearances. The cherry picking, the easy stuff, the easy dollars that used to be there. If you're good at finding the discontinued, if you're good at finding the oddball stuff, the demand of a product line has a weakness. If you understand Paw Patrol and realize there's newer characters, there's odd characters, there's one or two girls, certain parts in a product line make money versus not the whole product. If you understand that part of your business model should change, and so you add some wholesale in there to make up for the fact that you're not finding as many cherry pick items. But if you've got a base of wholesale market, but it has changed. Business models will change some.
It's definitely not as easy. I mean, the chain that we used to make a lot of money from, the retail stores, and
Hell, your
half of
stores
them
are
are
out of business.
closing down. You can't make hardly any money there now.
I did really well with Rite Aid for a long time.
Yeah,
My
I wasn't going
nearest
to mention
Rite
it, but
my nearest Rite Aid, if I wanted to go to one right now, is in Ohio, and
yeah,
I'm
and
gonna get to Steve's house.
that's crazy, man. Because it used to be you could walk into a Rite Aid and there was no way you weren't walking out with money. I mean, it was just that easy. But now you can't even walk into a Rite Aid and find anything. The
And then even
clearance
a
has
lot of the
changed.
cherry pick items, you look at
Yeah,
like Kent mentions the pink Stanley cups. There's now Discord groups that they use bots and all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's different competition out there.
yeah.
And so,
I would have never gone after the Stanley Cups in the first place because, first of all, it's just a real quick fad. And second of all, I ain't waiting in line for shit. It's just not going to happen. And I'm not fighting anybody over a stupid cup. Yeah, there's money in it, but the money's only for a short time. And everybody and their brother knows it. So everybody and their brother is going to find it. You need to change that way of thinking if you go over after the hot stuff. It screwed me when I went after the Monopoly games, and I learned a big lesson there. Well, just
sorry
because
about that.
Scott made some money on it doesn't mean I was gonna. Well, I broke even on it. I mean, it wasn't a loss, but it was a good lesson. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad that I had that experience to understand that just because it works for Scott, who had the knowledge probably 3 or 4 days before I did, doesn't mean that is going to work for me.
So I'm gonna leave you with this challenge. The one challenge I will make
We
for
don't
you
have any
is
Rite Aids. Well, we do.
the one challenge I will make to you is if it's the same one that I believe what Mike said in the book is I challenge you to read Profit First. It's very mind opening and changing. Is this if you take care of the business side and learn to take care of the money that comes into your business, the sourcing will be easier. All those things on that side. If you are very clear and focused on the business side, and that side is, it frees you up and some worries that you'll be amazed. I truly believe what he says. The clarity that comes and for the rest of your business, if the financing and the business side of it is taken care of, I challenge you to prove me wrong on this.
All right, challenge accepted. Oh, I failed already. Never mind. I want to. Tommy says something about Rite Aids, and you still can clean up. I don't doubt that. The problem is Rite Aid is in trouble, and they're closing stores left and right now. And I have a feeling that we're going to see the demise of that chain pretty soon.
All right, Tommy, I'm going to drive the van up and park in your driveway and not have a hotel. I'll just live in the van in your driveway.
There's more Rite Aids in my area, I'm sure. No, I don't know where Tommy's from, so.
He's in Delaware. I've been to those once or twice.
Or 7 times.
No,
we used to have, just in my area, 1, 2. I know of like 4 Rite Aids in my area that have shut down recently, just because they're restructuring things, and I have a feeling that it's not going to be long.
No, it's not going to be long. All right, I hope everybody has a. I'm assuming that's John. Good morning and good night, John. We're going to. Tommy says he's got spare rooms. Going to get to work.
Sorry, I dominated the conversation so much today.
I know. I hate it when you do that, Todd.
Yeah, we got to work on that for next time.
We're gonna have to mute his mic next time.
So much Amazon, and I don't do it. Don't have to, so I don't.
But the business, and the reading the books and the understanding that kind of stuff can make you a much better eBay seller too. If you, the more you know, and it gives you a competitive advantage over. I would think it gives you a much bigger. If you're a better business person and can apply these things to as a good eBay seller, you are miles above your competition who is just, going to the bins because they have been taught to list 1,000 items of mall clothes, and then you'll make, because as you're paying me $35 a month for me to tell you, I'm holding you personally accountable. I'm giving you some to list.
So you can have a 2% sell-through rate. Yippee!
You're way leaps and bounds above your competition and in a position to take advantage of them. All right, everyone, have a great afternoon, great morning, whatever the hell this is. I think Josh will be on this morning. If you're not subbed to Josh Galt, he'll at noon my time, which is, I think it's 1:00 Eastern, 12 Central. He will have something entertaining. I don't know if he'll be as entertaining as me, but
never.
He'll try.
Sweetwater out. I got it this time.
And the hand said something.